Hey guys, Corral Cooper here with On the Black, and I'm joined by Dave Doyle of Mets Report for our weekly chat. Hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there watching the video today.
Same to you.
Thanks, thanks. So, Mike Pelfrey, let's talk a little bit about him. He had a really good game on Saturday. He's actually pitched well his last three starts. His last bad start was against Pittsburgh, which was a terrible start. But since then, let me share some stats with you. Since then, in his last three starts, 23 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 13 strikeouts, and what I feel is the most impressive stat, 0 walks in the last 3 starts. What do you make of Pelfrey here?
Mike Pelfrey, to me, I mean, of course, he's been fantastic on this current run.
Yep.
And we have seen runs similar to this from him before.
Mm-hmm.
So he does seem to get into a groove and then fall out of a groove. And it generally occurs in about a month at a time periods for him, that he can get in a real good groove for a month and then just fall right out of it and practically can't get anybody out. So to me, Mike Pelfrey's just been the model of inconsistency. And, at this point, I think, we've seen a good sample size from him. So I think we pretty much know what he is at this point.
Well, what do you think that is? Because obviously at the beginning of the year, everyone was kind of touting him as the Mets ace, and that, in my opinion, was more by default than performance, if you will. I've always been kind of frustrated with Pelfrey and him not being able to take that next step, his lack of consistency, like you said. But what do you think he is long term? Is he a 2? Is he a 3? Is he a 4? What do you think?
I think long term that he would probably be classified. Of course, it depends on the team, but I think on a good team with a solid pitching staff, and I'm not talking about like the Phillies or anything, but a team with a solid pitching staff,
Mm-hmm.
that I could pencil him in as like a solid 3.
Okay. And I want to flip this around a little bit. Last week on our live video chat, and for those out there watching, Dave and I do a live video chat on Ustream every Sunday at 7, so check that out. But last week, Dave, on the chat, you asked me about certain players on the Mets and if they are part of the solution or part of the problem. And Pelfrey was one that you asked me about. So I want to flip this around on you a little bit, and you tell me, do you think Pelfrey's part of the solution or the problem?
Pelfrey's part of the problem for me.
Wow, okay.
And in my opinion, I think that he's a guy that they've seen enough of, that they know what he is, and that he's something that I think he's making about $3 or $3.5 million or so this year.
Okay.
And I think that he's something that could give them value in a trade if they could move him to somebody else and could bring something back and kind of start this rebuilding process. I mean, to me, Pelfrey's kind of part of the old regime with the Mets, that he's not a guy that Sandy Alderson, J.P. Ricciardi, those guys have any attachment to. So I think he could probably bring a solid return in a trade, and probably even a couple players that might be able to help the Mets next year or the year after, and give them some solid value in return. Because, we're starting to see guys come up like Dylan G coming up this year.
Yep.
And what he's been able to do. And you're seeing younger guys come up. Look at what John Neese is doing this year. And these guys, in my mind, have all already kind of surpassed or will surpass Mike Pelfrey in the near future. So I think, to me, he's part of the problem with his inconsistency.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess we're gonna agree to disagree on that one, because I'm not ready to toss him out just yet. I'm close. If I'm on the Mike Pelfrey bus right now, I'm standing by the door, kind of wondering if I should get off at the next stop. So I'm close. I'm not there yet.
And I can understand that. And, he's a guy who came up through the organization, and we all have a personal attachment to those guys that have come up through the organization, and we want to see him do well, and we want to see him do well with the Mets.
Yeah.
But, the real hard facts here are that this is a team that's under 500 right now. Both you and I expect them to be a little under 500 or near that at the end of the season. I think they've got the 5th highest payroll in baseball. So the cold hard fact is that there's problems on this team, and in my mind, Mike Pelfrey is one of them.
Okay. Well, we will see what happens as we get closer to the trade deadline. Pelfrey has pitched well in his last 3 starts. His ERA has dropped from, I think, over 7 at the end of April to now it's close to 4, so that's good to see. So we'll see what happens over the next few weeks.
Yes, we will.
Yep. Thanks for joining me, Dave.
Thank you.
Alrighty.